Hello everyone, welcome to Lukman IAS. Today we are going to have the Hindu analysis of 15th May 2021. Let us see which are the important articles in today's The Hindu newspaper. These are the important articles. Let us take overview of these articles. First, on page number 6, editorial page, lend a helping hand to children the right way. Now the context of the article, it is talking about those children which are orphaned because of this COVID-19 pandemic. The children whose parents died during this COVID-19 pandemic. Many such cases have surfaced in different cities including Delhi, and many NGOs are coming forward to asking people to adopt these children. However, the writer is providing the appropriate way forward to deal with such kind of cases, children, when they come across these children, orphan children during this pandemic time. So from social justice, society, as well as what are some ethical and moral issues involved in these cases, we can expect such kind of question even in interview also. Right. The second article on editorial page, especially criticizing the government policy dealing with this COVID-19 pandemic, written by Seema Chishti, the journalist. The tone of the article is very much negative, and criticism of the government that at that level is not appropriate by the civil servant aspirant while writing those points in our mains examination. That's why I will not deal with that particular article. Right. Now, specifically prelims related developments. 21 members of vulnerable tribes infected. It is talking about some of the PVTGs in Odisha. So yes, we will deal with some factual information here regarding yes, which are these particularly vulnerable tribal groups in Odisha. We know that a chunk of the population in Odisha, or the proportion, is from scheduled tribes, STs. So who are these PVTGs? Then in general we will talk about the PVTGs and what criteria is adopted, number of PVTGs, because a similar kind of question was asked in UPSC prelims 2019. So that becomes important for our examination. Next, US slider turtle pose threat in Northeast India. Now this particular invasive species of turtle of US and Mexico is actually invading the river ecosystems in Northeast India. That's why it is in news. It is a red-eared slider, this particular turtle named like this. So yes, basic information about this development, what is invasive alien species and what is the impact on the biodiversity of the region. We will talk about that. This is important from environment perspective. Then uphold dignity of the dead. National Human Rights Commission, NHRC, tells center and state. So basics about NHRC, this body from polity perspective. At the same time, we will also talk about what are the ethical issues involved in dealing with dead bodies of COVID-19 patients, that throughout India that we are observing various developments. Okay, and in the end, some COVID-19 related developments at national stage and daily prelims MCQs from today's current affairs development. Okay, so yes, let us go into details of all these articles. First, lend a helping hand to children the right way. Now, why this word is used here, the right way? This is very important. The writer is talking about we need to help children, but in a right way, in a legal way, so that the children's future is not impacted. Along with that, immoral, unethical practices are not followed and the children's rights are upheld. Right. So that's why we are seeing such orphan children in many cities, especially in urban areas, and many a times the people are asking to adopt, NGOs are asking to adopt these children by the families. So the writer is saying that this should not be the way. Such kind of informal, out of legal ways should not be adopted to even help children. Okay, though we are helping children, but that is not the correct way. Then what if you come across such orphan child during this COVID-19 pandemic times? What should be your approach? Such kind of question we can expect even by the interview panel. We know that UPSC candidates are going to appear in the interviews also. So can we expect such kind of question that yes, if you come across any orphan child during this COVID-19 pandemic whose parents died because of this COVID-19 disease and they do not have the immediate relatives to take care of them, what will be your approach, right? So you need to be aware about some legal provisions, some helplines to deal with or to help these children which are facing the problem during such emergency situation. What are these approaches? Let us try to understand. Immediately calling toll-free childline number 1098, an emergency phone outreach service that is there at all India level, working 24/7. Now this is being handled by one NGO, and yes, this NGO is working under, or we can say in coordination with Government of India. This is one option. Second, intimate the district protection officer concerned whose contact details can be found on National Tracking System for Missing and Vulnerable Child portal. Now this is important portal which tracks the children which are missing. Okay, so yes, the district protection officer is dedicated officer working for this purpose. So that district protection officer can be intimated and his contact details can be taken from this portal. As a, let's say, responsible citizen, you should be also aware about these options that are available with you when you come across a situation even in future. Next, approach the nearest police station and its child welfare police officer. We know that every police station should let's say allocate one particular officer as a child welfare police officer and who is in a civil dress and for the child friendly approach to deal with the child. So that's why you can also approach the nearest police station or its child welfare police officer. And next option is dial the emergency response support system which is pan India single number 112 based on emergency response system for citizens in emergencies. Right. So these are different options available with you and you can adopt one of the approach, and further these, let's say, authorities and those who are responsible will take the custody of the child for further legal approach. What happens after these officers are taking custody of that child? Let us try to understand the procedure involved here for ultimate adoption of that child in a legal way. Yes, once an orphan child is recovered by outreach agency, one of them, it is duty of the said agency to produce the child within 24 hours before Child Welfare Committee of the district. Child Welfare Committee of the district. Now this is very important procedure under Juvenile Justice Act of 2015. Okay, Juvenile Justice Act 2015. You need to be aware about legal procedure. We can expect the case study also, what is your course of action. Then you need to be aware about the procedure. This is let's say as a citizen of the country, you should be aware about these procedures also. Then the Child Welfare Committee after an inquiry decides whether to send the child to the children's home or a fit facility or fit person. If the child is below 6 years, he or she shall be placed in a specialized adoption agency. That means the child, when it is below 6 years, then the adoption agency will be eligible to enroll that child for the adoption purpose. Once the child is declared legally free for adoption by Child Welfare Committee, adoption can be done either by Indian prospective adoptive parents or non-resident Indians or foreigners in that order. Okay. Then the procedure for adoption is totally transparent and progress can be monitored from the portal of CARA. This is the central statutory body, Central Adoption Resource Authority, responsible for all the procedure for adoption of the child. Okay, so this is important. You need to be aware about this Central Adoption Resource Authority, CARA. Fine. Now, in the end, we should be also aware about what are the legal protection measures for the children which are in conflict with law. Along with that, during this emergency situation, when they do not have any kind of support system in the society, it is the responsibility of the state to protect and take care of these children who are future citizens of the country. Non-reporting of the orphan children is also punishable offence under Juvenile Justice Care and Protection of Children Act 2015. That means when a person know that the child is orphan during this COVID-19 pandemic times, and if she or he is not reporting that knowledge, that child, to the appropriate authority, then that is also punishable crime. Okay, so such kind of provisions are also important so as to take care of the children, protect the children. In Supreme Court, Bachpan Bachao Andolan versus Union of India case directed all Director Generals of Police in 2019 to register FIR as case of trafficking or abduction in every case of missing child. In every case of missing child, such kind of FIR is to be registered. This is compulsory. Then at least one police officer not below rank of ASI in each police station is mandatorily required to undergo training to deal with children in conflict with law and in need of care and protection. So such kind of progressive measures have been suggested by the Supreme Court in this particular case. Then each district is supposed to have its special juvenile police unit headed by officer not below rank of Deputy Superintendent of Police. Okay, special juvenile police unit. That particular unit will be responsible for dealing with such cases where children are in conflict with law or in need of care and protection. Right. So these are the legal measures you should be aware about. What option to be adopted when you come across such child? This is in benefit of that child for long term measures. Suppose for example, what are the ethical issues involved here? If you adopt the informal way, what happens to that child in future? We do not know about that. Whether that child is going to be cared or protected by the adopted parents informally, we do not know about that. Whether that child will be trafficked in future, we do not know about that, as the legal authorities are not tracking that child. Right. So that's why this is very important issue. Along with that, the rights of the children. In our constitution, yes, article 19 is article 21 is there, right to life with dignity. This is important fundamental right. Along with that, article 24 and 23 deals with the rights against the exploitation. Right. So yes, this is important. Article 24 especially deals with children and their exploitation. Right. Along with that, we know that there are some DPSPs in our article, and under article 39, it talks about the welfare of the children by the state. Right. So protecting these children, taking care of these children is the responsibility of the state, and that's why these measures are taken by the government and administration. Now, such kind of interview question we can expect. If you come across the child who has been orphaned during the COVID-19 pandemic, what would you do to help that child? Such kind of question we are surely expecting by the panel members for UPSC interviews. Okay. So yes, you are now aware about 4 different options. How will you approach in a different manner? Fine. Okay. Next, 21 members of vulnerable tribes infected. Now, yes, this particular news is talking about the PVTGs, particularly vulnerable tribal groups, and the members of these tribal groups have been infected in Odisha. So that's why it was in news. Some factual information regarding PVTGs of Odisha. Odisha is among the largest and most diverse tribal population in the country. Of 62 tribal groups residing in Odisha, 13 are recognized as PVTG. Highest number in any state. Highest number in any state, PVTGs. Then according to 2011 census, Odisha's share of the country's total tribal population was 9%. Tribals constitute 22.85% of the state's population, almost around 1/5 population, and these are the PVTGs identified of Odisha. Bonda tribe, Birhor, then Chuktiya, Bhunjia, Didaya, this is Dongriya Khond, very much in news many times. Yes, then Hilkharia, Joang, Kutia Khond, okay, so Lodha, Man Kirdiya, these are the tribes which are PVTGs identified from the Odisha. Now basics about PVTGs, you need to be aware about this, because in 2019 there was question in UPC prelims examination. You can see here what kind of question was asked here. Yes, look at the statements. Look at the statements framed by UPSC about PVTG, particularly vulnerable tribal groups. PVTG reside in 18 states and 1 union territories. Then a stagnant and declining population is one of the criteria of PVTG status. Then there are 95 PVTGs officially notified in the country so far. Irular, Konda, Reddy tribes are included in the list of PVTGs. Such kind of factual nature of statements have been asked by the UPSC, so you need to be aware about such factual information. What are these PVTGs? Yes, Government of India in 1975 initiated identifying most vulnerable tribal groups as PVTG. At present, total of 75 PVTGs out of 705 scheduled tribes spread over 18 states and 1 union territory, Andaman and Nicobar, in the country. 2011 census. So from this statement is incorrect. 95 is not there, 75. At the same time, first statement is correct. They reside in 18 states and 1 union territory. Highest number are found in Odisha, 13, followed by Andhra Pradesh, 12. Right. Then the criteria followed for determination of PVTGs: pre-agricultural level of technology, a stagnant and declining population, then extremely low literacy and subsistence level of economy. Hunting, gathering, or we can say that slash and burn agriculture, jhum cultivation, these subsistence level of economy or agriculture is there. Okay, so pre-agriculture level of technology, all these are measures. So you can see here the stagnant and declining population is one of the criteria. So from this, can we identify the correct option? Because Irular, Konda Reddy tribes, almost 75 these names of the tribes, it is very difficult. Though we have mentioned from the Odisha, these were the different PVTGs, it is very difficult to remember. So you need to eliminate the options from the available knowledge. How we can approach here? Yes, we found that 1 and 2 is correct. So yes, 2, 3, 4, this is eliminated. 1, 3, 4, this is eliminated, because third option is incorrect here, and from that also we are eliminating the first option because this 3 is also there. So this, wherever there is 3 option written here, this is incorrect, and this is how elimination method can be used to mark the correct option: 1, 2, 4. So that means 4 should be definitely correct. Though we do not know about these tribes whether they are PVTG or not, we have marked the correct answer. This is how the approach should be there in prelims examination. Okay? Yes. Now moving on, the new development: US slider turtles pose threat in northeast India. Okay, so this is important from environment perspective. Why this is a threat? Yes, basics about this particular red-eared slider. Okay, red-eared slider, this looks like this. At ear, where the ear should be located, there are red stripes to this slider turtle. Okay, it derives its name from the red stripes around the part where the ear would be, and from its ability to slide quickly off the water. It is included in the world's 100 most invasive species published by IUCN. Basically, this is there is one study that is done by the environmentalist. they are saying that this is acting as a threat to indigenous and rare species of turtle in northeastern India and its riverine ecology. Okay, so that's why it is in news. So from this information we can also understand that there are 21 we can say that rare species, fresh turtle and tortoise species in northeastern India. Along with that, we have to also understand that Brahmaputra and other rivers ecosystems of northeast, they are home to 72% of the turtle and tortoise species of India. All of them are very rare species. Now, let me tell you the conceptual aspects involved here. Invasive alien species, they are known as IAS. Sometimes those, let's say, yes, IAS officers that you are going to become, IAS officers are also called as invasive alien species because they are employees of the central government, they are appointed by the central government, however, they are working in the state government. Right, so that's why they are also called as invasive alien species. However, that is aside, this invasive alien species, they are so competitive with the local indigenous species in terms of taking the resources available, so that the indigenous species are completely wiped out from that local ecosystem. This is threatening the biodiversity of region. Okay, biodiversity in terms of species biodiversity, because species are getting extinct because of the dominant species. This is genetically dominant species, this invasive species, and this is invading that area, increasing its population, wiping out the indigenous population. Okay, this is how the invasive species, yes, invasive species of grass, trees, birds, or even mammals, all they are harmful for diversity, biodiversity, species biodiversity of that region. And that's why we need to protect the local ecosystem by not allowing such invasive species to thrive in that region. If we are talking about this particular species is a famous pet species. Okay, this is native to US and northern Mexico, a very let's say popular pet, but it grows very fast and virtually leave nothing for native species to eat. This is the problem. And what happens is, what is happening in northeastern states, when these people are bringing or buying this as a pet, when it grows in size, they are actually leaving that species into the river. Now, when it enters into the river, it let's say reproduce itself, and then in future its population is growing, which is threatening the indigenous rare species of turtles and tortoise in these ecosystems, riverine ecosystems of northeast India. So, as an example of invasive alien species in mains examination GS3 paper environment part, you can write this. Along with that, those who are having geography as an optional subject, you can also use this in your paper second of geography optional, invasive alien species. Fine? Yes, we can also expect such kind of let's say question in prelims examination, that red-eared slider, this is particular invasive alien species of turtles found in northeastern riverine ecosystems. Fine? Yes. Now, moving on, uphold the dignity of the dead, NHRC tells central and states. Now, this particular directive from the statutory body National Human Rights Commission has come up after, let's say, many such cases of dead bodies have been piled up and kept without any kind of attention by the administration, and such poor state of these dead bodies of the people is actually immoral, unethical. Okay. So, from that perspective also, this is hampering the dignity of the dead. Now, we have to understand that whether there is any fundamental right of the dead people also. No. However, the human values as well as our, let's say, cultural values says that we need to respect the dead body also. And the final rites of the, let's say, cremation or the burial of the dead body should be according to customs, religious customs practices of that body by upholding the dignity of that person, right? So that's why it is the directive given here, upholding the dignity and protecting the rights of the dead. The rights of the dead, basically customary rights, cultural, social and religious rights, we can say that. Along with that, we have to understand the basics of this NHRC, National Human Rights Commission, because surely we can expect the question in prelims examination about the composition and then the functions and different unique rights which are given to this body. Okay. This is statutory and not constitutional body established in 1993. We know that statutory body is that body which is established through the provisions of any law that is enacted by the legislative body, that is parliament or state legislature. Now, this is established under the provisions of Protection of Human Rights Act 1993. This particular act provides for this NHRC at national level as well as state human rights commissions at state level. Fine, NHRC. Okay, this is watchdog of human rights in the country. Composition, it is multi-member body with chairperson plus 5 members, that is 1 plus 5. 1 plus 5 members. Along with that, the chairman should be retired Chief Justice of India or Judge of Supreme Court, and members should be serving or retired Judges of Supreme Court and a serving or retired Justice of High Court. And 3 persons, at least one among them should be women having knowledge or practical experience with respect to protection of human rights. Okay, so this is very important, composition and the qualification. This is about qualification. Then in addition to these full-time members, there are some ex officio members, 7 ex officio members which are members of this NHRC. Yes, which are these? The chairpersons of National Commission for Minorities, National Commission for STs, National Commission for STs, National Commission for Women, National Commission for Backward Classes. Then National Commission for Protection of Child Rights, Chief Commissioner of Persons with Disabilities. These are the 7 ex officio members of NHRC. These are 5 members plus 1 chairperson, 7 ex officio. Along with that, chairperson and members are appointed by the President, appointing authority, on the recommendation of 6-member committee consisting of Prime Minister as its head. Then which are other members? Speaker of Lok Sabha, Deputy Chairman of Rajya Sabha, Leader of Opposition of both houses of the Parliament, and Central or Union Home Minister. Union Home Minister. All these, let's say 6 members committee, they recommend the chairperson and members are to be appointed by the President. Okay, this is very important. UPSC had already asked in prelims examination question based on this information. Now, moving on to, let's say, term of this chairperson and members. Yes, this is important because yes, 3 years or until they attain the age of 70 years, whichever is earlier. This is the term. They are eligible for reappointment. They are eligible for reappointment. However, after their tenure, the chairman and members are not eligible for further employment under central and state government. That means they can be only reappointed to that particular body or position. Then removal. The President can remove the chairman or any members of the office under the following circumstances. These are the circumstances. Along with that, there is one more ground of proved misbehavior or incapacity. On this particular ground, however, the President has to refer the matter to the Supreme Court for an inquiry. After inquiry, Supreme Court actually recommends whether that member or chairperson is to be removed or not. President can remove accordingly that person. Then salaries, allowances and other conditions of service for chairman and members are determined by central government, not by the President, not by the Parliament, however the central government. Okay. Along with that, we have to also understand that there are some important functions that are carried out by NHRC. Yes. So, to inquire into any violation of human rights or negligence in prevention of such violation by the public servant, either suo motu or on a petition presented to it. to intervene in any proceedings involved allegations of violations of human rights pending before any court in the country, to visit jails and detention places to study living conditions of inmates and make recommendations for them, to study treaties and other international instruments on human rights and make recommendation for their effective implementation in the country. Along with that, we have to understand some trivial information. For example, the Commission is not empowered to inquire into any matter after expiry of 1 year from the date on which the act constituting violation of human rights is committed. That means once the human right violation is committed, the offence is done. After 1 year of such commission of offence, the NHRC is not allowed to take the cognition of the case, even suo motu cognition. Along with that, yes, it is vested with power to regulate its own procedure. The powers of the civil court are there. At the same time, commission is mainly recommendatory body in nature. It has no power to punish the violators. At the same time, to award any relief, including monetary relief, to the victim. That means it can only recommend the compensation or relief, not award directly. This trivial information is important. Lastly, the Commission submits its annual or special reports to the central government and to state government concerned, not to the President, not to the Parliament. It is reporting to the state and central government. Fine? Okay. And some important COVID-19 related developments. Yes, both Covishield and Covaxin, while effective at generating immune against the coronavirus, appear to generate only half as many antibodies against the Indian strain double mutant B1617. This Indian strain, this is according to the preliminary reports authored by scientists of ICMR. Now this is cause to worry. We have to understand that we are supposed to tweak these vaccines according to new variants. This double mutant is causing problem, and therefore the new vaccines in future should be generating more and more antibodies for this double mutant. At present, this Covishield and Covaxin only generates 50% of the antibodies against this particular variant. Then India began using Sputnik V in the battle against COVID-19 with the first dose of vaccine from Russia administered in Hyderabad. The vaccine is being sold at maximum retail price of 995 rupees per dose. Fine. Yes. This is the market price at, we can say that in the private hospitals. For Covishield it is 900, and for, we can say, Covaxin it is 1200 in the private hospitals. So yes, along with this Covishield and Covaxin, in future now Sputnik V is to be there available from the basket of these vaccines. Okay. Lastly, these are some practice prelims MCQs. You can read these MCQs, solve these MCQs from the above information that we have discussed, and try to attempt them and answer in the comment box. Tomorrow we will discuss this. In the tomorrow's The Hindu analysis, we will discuss this. This will act as a revision for you. This will act as a revision for you. So we have provided these 3 MCQs from the today's The Hindu newspaper developments. So you can find this PDF in this video link, description of video link. You can download that PDF. You can solve these MCQs, and then you can answer this in the comment box and verify from tomorrow's The Hindu newspaper explanation of this MCQs. Fine? Okay. So yes, these were important developments from today's The Hindu newspaper. For further information regarding editorial discussion classes or ED classes, wherein in-depth analysis of mains related issues and articles is done by Ansari sir and team, you can contact Lukman IS. At the same time, now UPSC has deferred the date for prelims examination to 10th October 2021. So now you have got enough amount of time for the preparation of prelims examination. At the same time, I would suggest that those who have already given the attempt and written the mains examination, for them it is apt time to invest more amount of time, more amount of time for at least 2 months for your mains preparation and improve your preparation for optional subject also. Okay, fine.